All right, super stoked to be with Kim Taylor, broker owner of KTREG Real Estate.
Yep.
Thanks so much for joining us today. It's going to
Thanks
be
for
fun.
having me.
Of course. Greetings from California all the way out to Texas.
Yep.
And
The promised land.
woohoo! I hear you're getting the same weather we are.
Yeah. It's a little cold and rainy. Not my favorite.
Yeah, I hear you. It's California. The whole state shuts down when this stuff happens. That they're like, "What is this wet stuff?"
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
here we
Well, when
are,
it's
and
when it's wet and cold outside, we just don't like it because it could freeze, which it very possibly could do tonight. So,
that's not good. It's a good day
huh.
to stay in and get some things done.
Yep. Yep.
I'm super glad you're able to join us, Kim. And this is a very special podcast. It's dear to my heart. It's the first one of its kind for us here at iFinance Mortgage, and it's really discussing the mindset of a champion. And champions come in all formats, whether they're in sports, they're whatever, but they're in real estate. You are the champions in your fields, your communities, helping so many families. And so we want some insight into you, your mindset. And can you tell us a little bit what got you started in real estate, how long you've been doing it, that kind of thing?
Sure. So I'll try not to be too long-winded on this. So I didn't work when we first got married because we had 4 kids and we homeschooled them, believe it or not, for about 9 years. And when we all put them in public school, I started working at my husband's oil and gas company. And oil and gas in Texas is a little hit or miss. So
Hmm.
we had our and let me back up. I always, when I homeschooled the kids on the side, I always like decorated and staged for people,
Hmm.
and staged for realtors, and then decorate helped people get their house ready to list. And so I always thought real estate would be fun to do. But my mom always told me, "Oh, you'll be gone nights and weekends. You don't
Right.
have the time for that." So literally, I just kind of shelved the idea. As like, yeah,
Hmm.
I can't do that. And so when we put the kids in public school and I started working at oil and gas and we were fixing to get laid off again, my
Oh,
husband was like, "You need to get your real estate license." This was in like 2015. And I was like, "You're right, I do." And man, he signed me up for classes and told me where to be and what to do and where to go. And, it's one of those things where it just, um, I just did it. I didn't give myself time to think about it. And honestly, when I started doing it, I felt like I'd been doing it for 20 years. I felt like I just walked into my destiny, and I'm a people person. I know a lot of people. I mean, thank God we've lived in the Trophy Club Roanoke area for 28 years, and we've
wow.
grown our kids here. And so I have a lot of connections, know a lot of people, and that is just that would be my first little, I'm kind of jumping ahead, but that would be
No,
my first order of advice for people is, what kind of sphere do you have? You know?
mm,
So that's
that's
kind of how I
huge.
got into real estate is, my brother and his wife were literally waiting on me to pass the test to list their house and help them buy a house. And
Wow.
then we're very faith-based, we're believers, and like I'm just a firm believer in timing of everything.
Absolutely.
And, they had a house come on the market in Roanoke and we got their house listed, and it was fire hose in the face from the beginning for me.
Right.
I mean, I did like 4.5 million my first year. My
Wow.
head was spinning.
I bet.
So, yeah, and
That's
my old
incredible.
broker bought Realtor.com leads, so it was a very small boutique brokerage. So I worked those leads like a workhorse. Oh, because let me back up. Because we did both get let go in oil and gas. And so
Oh,
we
wow.
both started, well, I started in this industry jumping in and having to support the family because he was trying to find another job in oil and gas, and I had to do real estate. So,
Interesting.
lesson two, right?
Yeah.
It's like if you're going to do it, or if you have to do it, like, um, you have to do it. And that is a different mindset. So, as a
It sure
broker
is.
team
That's
lead,
survival mode. Yeah.
yeah, as a broker team lead, that's a question I have for a lot of my agents is, do you have to do real estate? Do you have a full-time job? Are you going to treat this like a job? So yeah, that's how it all started for me in 2015.
That's interesting. What I heard out of that as well is you started as a champion. You
Mm,
started taking care. Homeschool is
yeah.
no joke. It takes a lot of commitment, a lot of work. And while hubby was working over here, you were working on the home front, keeping the
Hmm.
kiddos going, and that's amazing. And then,
Not
you know,
easy.
no, I can imagine. And Kim, it's you really hit on a key point that resonates well with me is, what is my why? Why do I
Mm,
wake up every single day? And that's what I ask our new loan officers as well when they want to come join us is, what is your why?
yeah.
Why do you want to do this? What is your need to do this? And most
It.
of them will say it's my son, my daughter, my wife, and I'm like, okay, keep
Mhm.
going. That's good.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, and that's important because when you have years like this last year, right, where that was my biggest pain point with all of my agents because I went from a team lead. So let's back up. So started real estate in 2015 and was a solo agent for several years. And then in 2019, my husband decided to get his license and he was like, I'm going to come join your team. And I was like, no,
Awesome.
you're not.
You didn't ask me.
Yeah. And he's like, well, it's not going to look real good if I go to Keller Williams and you're at JPAR. And I'm like, oh, I guess you're right. So,
Yeah.
okay, fine. Come join my team. And so starting off as a team lead, I always had about 7 to 8 agents. And then we started our brokerage in June of this year. But that has been the point of that was our sticking point this year because a lot of the agents had no business. I seem to really attract new agents and having new agents and trying to get their business going, we went back to what is your why? Why are you doing this?
Mm,
And if you can't keep that in front of you and your head straight, your mind,
mm.
you have to have, I'm not a big time blocking kind of person, but then on the flip side, it's so important to come to your desk, you open it, there's a process, right? You
Yeah,
have your quiet time, you get your mind right, you listen to a podcast, you have to read a chapter in a book because you're your own CEO.
yes, absolutely.
And if I can't lead, a lot of these girls like desire to have their own team. So it's
Sure,
like, if you can't lead yourself, how are you going to lead a team?
absolutely.
So it's about finding that it's more than, oh, I'm doing this for my family, or, you kind of have to dig deeper. It's like, okay, I want a vacation home. Okay, great. Well, where do you want a vacation home? And getting those specifics. And we do a vision board every year. We pray about what's your word of the year. I sit down with all my agents and I'm like, okay, what's your dollar amount, your transaction amount? What's your strategy to get there? Like, what did you do this year that didn't work? And what do you
Yeah,
want to implement? And then what's your word of the year? It's like those are my questions to them and I get it on a spreadsheet and then I have it in front of me. So when they are struggling, I can come back and have a pain point of what we need to do to
that's
access.
I really like that. And we did something similar. We do a mastermind at the
Mhm.
end of each year. And we talk about, what is your purpose?
Mhm.
What is your plan?
Yep.
The purpose is this. Maybe it's
Yep.
to get a new car.
Right.
Family needs a new car this year. Great. That's your purpose. Your plan is how you get there. How you going
Right.
to get there, right?
Your strategy. Yeah.
Another question that we ask each other is, what is your perfect day, week,
Mhm.
month, right? Very, very similar. I know we're both very familiar with UWM, United Wholesale
Yep.
Mortgage, and we spend a lot of time each week with them and with our mentors from back there as well. And when Matt Ishbia speaks about that, and he holds his staff very, very tight to those measurements, right?
That
You
little
need
pep rally, that morning pep
the
rally,
sales of it.
was awesome.
It's good. It's good. We're going to take you back there again.
Let's do
Uh,
it.
we're going in 3 weeks here with our team. I have 20. We have 20 from our shop and 6 of our realtor partners that are going this time. And I'll tell you what, and now every Wednesday we listen to that sales huddle in our office, and
Mhm,
our partners come and all this stuff, but we develop podcasts off of it. And I
mhm.
thank Matt. I'll send him a text. I said, thank you so much for this good content you gave us for this week.
Yeah, yeah.
But you made an interesting statement. You talked about keeping your mind right.
Mhm.
And no doubt you saw it at the sales huddle when Mateen Cleaves comes out there. He's the motivational coach. He says that all the time at the end. Keep your mind right and your
Mhm.
grind tight.
Yep.
Love it.
Yep.
It's
And then another thing in that process too, it's kind of funny because I was kind of complaining about me having my sweatshirt on, but I do have my Choose Joy sweatshirt,
Oh,
which is
there
our
you go.
it's our women's the name of our women's group at church. But
Uh-huh.
this is a lot of it too, right? Because your attitude determines your altitude, right? Sorry,
Yes.
get my
That's okay.
door trying to get in. Like my door shut at my office.
Oh.
Oh, it's my son's dog. It's Rex. Rex, hang on, buddy.
Oh, come here, buddy. Come on.
He hasn't been here for a couple of days and he just ran straight upstairs to see me and he's trying to get in the door.
Oh.
But this is mental, right? Like,
Yeah.
so this goes along with your mental state of putting the good stuff in and putting the positive in and keeping
Yeah.
that goal in front of you. But on the flip side of that, it's like, how's your attitude? Because, I tell my clients that a lot because if I have sellers, like this year it happened a lot, and I have sellers who are just really pissed off that their house isn't selling
Yeah.
and they're believers and I'm gonna kind of go on that a lot because this is just
Yeah.
how I run my business. But
Of course.
it's like, listen, guys, that this is a test, right? This could be like a patience test for
Yeah.
you, and you're failing miserably if all you're doing is grumbling and complaining. I
Right.
need you to shift your attitude
Yes.
and start turning your doubt and despair into positive affirmations of we are going to get a buyer. There is a buyer out there, and maybe they hadn't even decided they're going to buy a house yet,
Right. They
but
don't
it's
even know they need one
amazing.
yet.
Yeah, exactly. Let's pray those people in, man.
Yeah.
So anyway, I kind of do things a little different in my business.
No, but you know what? That's the whole point of this podcast. That's the champion mindset that you have.
Mm,
And I like the fact that it's coupled with a wonderful spiritual foundation.
mhm.
And then you put in some hard work, you put in great mentorship. And now you produce a wonderful team, a great brokerage to help your local community.
Yeah.
That's a champion mindset there.
Can I say one other thing
And you can
about
say whatever you want.
this is a little different twist too as a believer doing this business where there's so many unforeseen uncontrollable a lot of us type A personalities, a lot of
Hmm.
realtors are driven and we're control freaks.
Yep.
And when I started this business, my trainer told me, he said, listen, girl, if you figure out one thing, figure it out right now. You have no control over anything. You have no control over when your offer is accepted, if your offer is accepted,
Right.
when you're a listing agent, when you have buyers bring you an offer, when you have showings, nothing is in control. So you just let the big man upstairs run your business. And I was like, great point. But as a believer, I have trained my team that I really believe that we have an unfair advantage
Mm,
because we do have a higher power that drives our business, that brings
absolutely.
me clients, that brings me my business. And I swear to you, on my whiteboard that's just right there, man, it got really bare. And I got to the point this year where I would wipe off one closing and I would be like, okay, Lord, where's my next one? And it
Hmm.
never fails. The next week I would have a call for a buy or sell. And that's just how I do my business. And
Yeah,
that's what keeps my faith up, not just my mental mindset of a champion, but keeps your faith up as well, right? Because
absolutely.
when you both rely on real estate,
Yeah. There's a lot of faith and a lot of trust involved.
let me tell you, I almost sent my hubby to the street corner this year.
I know
Go
what
sell
that's
your
like.
soul out there or something.
Well, you know what? That's interesting. Kind of dovetails into another thought is, it's no doubt we've come through a pandemic. There's still some things floating out there, but a lot of us have had to make some incredible adjustments and pivots in our businesses.
Mhm.
Could you share how you've had to do that as well?
Sure. I mean, I will say this is kind of harping on I feel like beating a dead horse, sort of, but like if you're not doing social media, you have to get on the social media bandwagon. For me, 5 years ago, that was my little, and I love the word pivot because it could be as little as, okay, so let's think about that 1 degree pivot. Okay, if you're flying a plane, and if you've read, I'm reading Atomic Habits right now, and it is an
Hmm.
amazing book, but they're talking in there about how a plane, if sets its course and that pilot gets off 1 degree, he puts his calculation in just 1 degree off, it can mess you up from going to Los Angeles from DFW to Salt Lake City.
Yeah.
Like, it was crazy what that 1 degree did. And so in this business, I think it's important just to remember that you have to, if something didn't work this year, you have to pivot and be like, okay, so, that didn't work for me this year. So what am I going to do this year to do better? Or what am I going to,
Hmm.
like, just pick one thing. Don't do 5 things because that gets overwhelming. But
Right.
just pick that, like for me last year, it was my YouTube channel. It's like, okay, I'm going to really press in and do my YouTube channels, which I knew was going to be a lot of content. And it's still not where I want it, but I at least got in the mindset of doing videos, batch recording, which was a new mindset for me, using the
Right.
Big View app and, downloading them and then sharing them on Instagram, that shared it to Facebook, and then putting it on TikTok, and then putting it, it's exhausting,
It is.
but having that mindset of just pivoting, you just have to assess things and what worked and what didn't work and what can you do different to make a change. And I don't know if I really answered the question.
Yes, 100%.
Um, we've all had to do things differently since COVID.
Yeah.
And then I feel like we kind of picked ourselves up and dusted ourselves off, and then 22 comes and it just, that kind of starts declining, and then 23 had such high hopes in the beginning and then kind of took a nosedive
Right.
mid-year. And so it was just important to, I had a vision at the first of this year, March or April, and I didn't understand it until we hit summer. And I had
Mm.
a vision of a tsunami, and the waters had all just retreated. And it was very much a spiritual vision. And I told my girls this. I'm like, I saw the waters retreating, and there were realtors walking on the shoreline, and we couldn't see anything. And a lot of realtors just fell by the wayside. They just went back
Mm.
to town. But there
Yep.
were still a lot of us walking on the shoreline, and all I could see was cracked ground, which here
Mm.
in Texas this summer, we had one of the hottest summers ever. Our yards were cracked no matter how much you watered it. And it was kind of scary.
I bet.
And so we went through that, but then, and then I heard the words, get your house in order. And I
Mm.
told my girls, I said, listen, I really feel like it is the time to get organized, clean up all those apps that you haven't used,
Yeah.
go through your emails, you know, just get everything cleaned up and organized. And of course, with us starting the brokerage in June, we
Right.
needed that time, right? Because we
Sure.
made that transition to KTREG real estate, and we had to set a lot of things up. And thank God we had the time to do that. But I feel like now the waters are starting to come back in, and that
That's great.
tsunami is fixing to rush in, but we're
Yeah.
ready. We're like,
Yeah.
bring it
You're
on.
ready
We've
for
got
it.
our mindset right.
Yeah.
We have got our armor on, and we are standing firm on the shoreline, ready to take the waters on.
That's amazing. That really resonates with me again because when I first started yeah, I've been in real estate for years before. I don't use my license unless my dad needs something, but I refer him out to you.
Yeah.
About 10 years ago, I started in the mortgage business side of things. And it just fit my lifestyle and our travel schedule and all that stuff much better. But, you know, with Joe and I, our broker owner, we have been together for a long time and we go door knocking together and, training. We didn't do training except for ourselves. We had like 3 other remote people and they're doing their thing. And about 8 months ago, when Matt started talking about how he's hiring 400 or 500 people this month and next month, and we're all like, "Are you out of your mind?
Yeah.
You not see the market we're in right now, and you're hiring a ton of people?" And his words stuck with us, and the fact that it takes about 6 months at a minimum for people to really get up to pace and be
Mm-hmm.
ready to go and
Mm-hmm.
work. And for him to, and then when we toured there, and you probably saw it on your tour, a ton of empty floor space, cubicles ready to go, but no people there.
Mm-hmm.
And so we got thinking about this. We're like, okay, we're a small brokerage. We had maybe 8 loan officers, a amazing processor, this and that. In the last 2 months, I've hired 10 loan officers. They've all come on and they're
That's
out in the
awesome.
field. Yeah. I've got 8 more right now that are in the licensing period of time. They're getting ready to take their state test and come on board. So I went from having 4 on my team to come March 1st, I'm going to have 23.
Wow.
That's just my team. And then we have a couple other teams. So we are scaling.
Mm-hmm.
We're just like you're doing. We're getting everybody ready because we see the flood happening.
Mm-hmm.
I've got realtor partners out there like yourself that are slamming busy.
Mm-hmm.
They are, a lot of people have left the business,
Mm-hmm.
realtors and lenders. Well,
Yeah.
I feel sad for them. I feel
Yeah.
great for us
Oh yeah.
because we're
Yeah.
positioned to handle the scale that it's coming in. Purchases and refinances are going to come in. So we're
Well,
excited.
and if you've done this long enough, you feel that shift. I call it a disturbance in the atmosphere. And I
Yeah.
felt it like about last Monday. It was
Mm,
like, okay, buckle your seatbelts. Do
here
y'all
we
feel
go.
that? And sure enough, everybody's phone started ringing.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's amazing. That's, you
awesome.
know, it's an exciting time period. It really is. It's for those that have rolled up their sleeves, made
Mm-hmm.
those pivots and
Bring
adjustments.
it
And,
on.
as much as, some of us might have fought against social media, but now we're doing it and we're looking goofy and we don't care anymore. And, oh, so what, my hair, this, whatever. It's like, I'm just doing it, I'm going for it. And here we are.
Yep.
We've survived through the years and we're going to keep going like this, just like it always does. But
Mm-hmm.
we're going to be the ones that survive. And, you know, a year from now, we'll be, you and I'll be talking again saying, yeah, boy, 24 was amazing. And now we're heading into 25 and,
Yep.
you
It's
know,
crazy. Bring it
so,
on. I'm so ready.
um,
I'm so ready.
so are we. And, if I could ask you one final question, Kim, is, we talked about a lot of mindset. We talked about a lot of your efforts and things that, we're doing to, um, you know, make sure that we stay afloat, but not just us, we help others to do the same. What final advice might you be able to give to small business owners or, our real estate agent colleagues to be successful moving into this 24 and beyond?
Hmm. So I would say, sorry, Rex is still
He
clawing at the
wants in.
door. I would say just coming from a team lead and broker owner.
Yes.
If if you're not happy or you're struggling, don't be afraid to ask for help. Find that person. If you're I tend to really pick up a lot of agents who have been neglected or that have been overlooked or not called back, that have been hurt.
Mm,
And I pick up a lot of agents who weren't validated on their team and just feel lost. And um, I think it's important for people just to be sure and not get lost in the riffraff of everything and just think, oh, I'm just not supposed to do this because they just didn't get the training. And you just have to stand up for yourself and find somebody who's willing to help you, because there's people out there, whether it be somebody within your brokerage that's feeling the same way that y'all could partner with. You have
Hmm.
to be okay to put yourself out there and put your pride aside and put it on social media, because I promise you somebody else is thinking the same thing and they need that camaraderie and they need that friend, because as a solo agent, this is a lonely business. And that is why my hashtag is better together, because
Mm,
I did it by myself for about a year and a half. And I'm like, this is for the birds,
it's
man. I'm going to
lonely.
start a team. And,
Yeah.
I just gather up those like-minded people that, just we all make each other better for
Takes a
sure.
village, right?
It
It,
takes a village. Yeah.
no, that's so insightful. Really appreciate that. And, we share such a similar mindset and concept within our brokerages. And, I hope one day we'll have the opportunity. I say I hope, and you know what? It usually turns out that I get to stop by and see your team in person and walk
Love it.
in and be like, wow, this is where all the magic's happening here. This is so cool. And of course, if you happen to make your way out to California, we welcome you to our office here too. And Tim, thank you so much for being a part of this special podcast, The Mindset of a Champion. We got to get inside your mind of a champion. So really appreciate you spending time with us today.
It was super fun. Thank you for having me.